Alright guys, today I'm doing something a little different than I normally do. This is some new stuff I'm going to be doing on my channel. I figure I might add some new type of content. I haven't really done a lot lately, so I've been busy doing this, so I figure I might as well switch over to this. PC building and all sorts of tech stuff. Well, today, first thing I'm going to be doing is re-thermal pasting this GPU and also possibly copper modding the memory. I noticed I just bought this used. It's in very good condition, as you can tell. I mean, and also I noticed, one of the things you could tell is there's a lot of dust on these fins in here, and it's very, very clean. So yeah, and even the fan blades itself are very clean. So yeah, and the person I bought it from said that they haven't taken it apart, which I kind of believe them on that. I've seen quite a few GPUs now that have been used, and this one doesn't look like it's been taken apart. And also the fact that it still has these two stickers right here, which doesn't necessarily mean that it hasn't been completely taken apart, but I know that the GPU has never been visible to a person or been with the heatsink off of it. But today that's going to change. Alright, so first thing I got to do, I know it's pretty basic here, but I'm going to use these, what do you call them, damn things, coasters as a screw tray. Now, I know if you go to like Gamers Nexus and whatever, you can get these mats that have a picture of the GPU and outline of them, and then you can take the screws out and set them there as you go along. But honestly, there's not really that many screws in this device to where you need something like that, in my opinion. But if this is something your first time, or this is something new and you don't feel very comfortable and you might worry about that, then maybe that might be something you might want to look at. But, so yeah, first we're going to start with these screws here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 these big ones. Yeah, let's see, let's do that. These are spring screws. If you notice, they got little bitty springs on them. We can't focus on that very well, but yeah, they have these little springs on them. Yeah, so if you get any different ones, you want to make sure to try to remember that, where those go, because the threading might not be as deep in a certain screw hole as one that you used, as a different one. So you got to make sure. So what I do is I just kind of set them to one side, and then I go from there. These are all the same length. Oh, see, now this one's much shorter. This one here. So I'll be setting that one aside. And I'll remember that these are the end ones. So I'll know that the way that I set them in the coaster here, those will be at the end. I'm sure this one's going to be the same length. Yep. Okay. Hopefully all the rest are the long ones, that way I don't have to deal with any more of that. And the last one, the big ones. Okay. Let's see how if this comes off. Probably not. Nope, okay. So we still got 1, 2, 3 little ones here. I wonder if those are going to have to come off. Those might be separate to... Yeah, that's for the LEDs. So, matter of fact, I'm not taking those off. But the ones that I do have to take off are these ones that are reversed. This one here, this one here, this one here. I've never seen GPU looked at before. Okay. One thing I'm going to have to do is take these out. I know that. So let me remove these. set these down here. Actually, I'll set them here so I know that these are all on the outer parts here. Yeah, but if you're in the market for a GPU right now, I found these 5700 XTs. You can get really good deals on them, and the price to performance right now is honestly it's outstanding. Yeah, they're really good GPUs for the money. I bought this one for $155, which you know, honestly, you see them go. I got a really good deal on it. I bought it off of I bought this off of eBay, and you know, there's other people that are selling these on there for $250 to $300, $200 to $300 in that range. But I don't ever buy them unless under 200. And I got this one for $155. I've already tested it; works great. It's just a little bit on the warm side, and I'm suspecting that is due to thermal paste being older. So yeah. So I want to come over here. I want to look at where these screws are. Try to take these out, these off, off, whatever, and see what happens. That. Yeah. I think I can even reach these from here. I'm not sure if I can. I can. Okay, cool. Now these I will set over here because now I know that these are on the opposite side. So I shouldn't have to do this because the reason why these are here are because of the way that everything is set up to where this should have come off. Now you also got to remember whenever you take these GPUs apart, if they have LEDs or even fans, for the most part, you're going to have a fan header and an LED header. So you got to make sure that you take these out. You don't ever want to just pull these things because they're very fragile. So you want to try to get on each side and then just lift them out. As I did here, see? It's easy. They got a little lip on the edge of them, so you just pop them out. We got more here. And pop them both out, so we're good there. So now when we go to put everything back in, it's going to be easy. So, okay, we got that. We got both of these on this side. 1, 2. Flip the card over. And honestly, I don't understand why this is the first one I've had like this where they don't just come right off. Must be missing something here. Because see, that one's right underneath that. You know what? I think it's this. These are the guys that are holding on. So next, we're going to take these off. This is like a GPU pressure bracket that helps hold the cooler closer and tighter to the GPU die. I'm a very particular person when it comes to stuff like this, and so I gotta make sure I get this sticker completely off here. It's gonna drive me crazy. So let's see if I can get my screw out. That's what's gonna be the simplest one because I think it's gonna be easier to do it like that. Okay, now what I like to do with these is I'll set them just like this. And I won't even take the screws out of there. So the fact that I get stickers out there. it looks like that's something I can do after the fact because that's going to take a little bit of time. Let's get the big chunks off here at least. That's really weird. I've never seen them do that. This one's like, these stickers are like just fragmenting, or it's like they've dried out. I'm scraping right off now. This will work. I'll get a toothbrush after I'm done here, and I'll. Get everything off here. Actually, you know what? I'm almost done. I'll just do it right now. Alright, there we go. I'll set that there. Well, actually, I'm going to put that here because this is also part of the top piece. Let's see if this comes off now. Ah, there we go. There we go. That was the problem. Alright. So, that's it. Pretty simple, right? I mean, and you can tell that this has been really not used that much due to the fact that this isn't that dirty. Also, the paste is pretty dry. Let me grab some stuff to clean up that way. Forgot to grab this when I first started. But all you need is some isopropyl alcohol. The higher the percentage, the better, because the rest of it's usually just water. And obviously you don't want water in your PC parts. So get some of these out. There's my toothbrush. I'm just doing some work for a day here, so yeah. These come in great, come in handy. They're really good. I mean, you can obviously tell like the GPU was used. Obviously, it's 2 years old now. But yeah, I don't think it's been used that much, really. It's pretty damn clean. The thing is, it's had some high temperature at some point because this thermal paste, it's like chalk. See that? Thermal paste shouldn't do that. It should be pasty, hence the name thermal paste. So all you do, take a Q-tip, wipe this stuff off. Q-tips work the best. You know, they just stick right to it. Drop that there. I'll clean this all up afterwards. And what I do is I just take the alcohol, put a little bit in the cap, set that there. Use a clean side, put it in there. And I'll clean this right off. Some dust here, so I'll clean all of it off. Get this baby nice and clean. So if you are looking for a GPU and you're interested in one of these, it's 5700 XTs. The Sapphire was one of the top of the line ones that came out during this generation of the 5700 XTs. For as far as thermals and everything else, but yeah, so the first thing you want to do is, like I said, you just take a toothbrush, and it works great for cleaning stuff like this, you know. Keep down in there, but you know, this is pretty clean. There really isn't much on there. The other part here is these parts here. You know, be careful. You don't want to be really pressing hard here because, as you can see, this is where these go. So you can tell that's where the thermal pads were touching. These must be like controller tips, I believe. Then you got a little bit of dust here. I get that with the Q-tip, and then the rest of it here. I mean, it's pretty clean. I mean, I'm really surprised by that, how clean this thing is. Okay. So, Toothbrush. This one's dirty. Another one. Switch it out a little bit. Clean up this. Clean these off. And you can clean these off if you want to, because why not, right? That's the nice thing about alcohol, you know, it just dries. It won't harm your PC components at all. You know, just make sure that it's not sopping wet when you go and turn it back on, of course. That would be good. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, this is a pretty clean board. So I was pretty impressed by it, and that's one of the first things you should look for too. And you know, not always, but you know, one of the good things to look for when you're going to make a purchase like this on a used graphic card is look for those little on this cross hatching here. You know how I showed that there's those 2 stickers on there. Look for GPUs that still have those on there, because that tells you that the graphics card has never been ripped apart. There. I mean, I'm here, I might as well clean it, right? And it's all good for the dusting. Okay. So now, I see on this board, this has its own, this is a little bit different than some boards. The memory has its own cooler here. See, and that's nice because it's on its own cooling. It's got its own cooling setup device or heatsink for the memory, whereas some will share the copper pad with the GPU, and when that happens, that can cause your GPU temperatures to be higher, and it can also cause your memory temperatures to be higher because the heat will soak this metal plate, this copper plate there, and it shares the heat between the 2 components. So, first thing you gotta do is a Q-tip here, clean off the die. So yeah, this thermal paste is toast. I'm glad I decided to open this up and have a look at it, clean it. This stuff, it's funny because it'll be like not paste, but then when you like try, when it gets in these little, I forget what they're called, these little transistors, I think they're called. I believe that's what they're called. They'll stick on there. Like, I didn't even need any alcohol. That's how dry the paste was on this GPU, which doesn't bother me none. I mean, it does bother me the fact that it wasn't cooling as good, but it doesn't bother me in the fact that I don't have to clean it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is take off. That was really loose. We're going to take off these this memory heat sink. I'm going to put these here. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 2 screws back in now that I know I didn't need to take these out. So this right here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go a little bit smaller of a attachment. And if you guys are looking for something to, like you need a kit like this thing is amazing. I love this kit. It's got everything you need. Really, it's got, you know, Phillips, your Torx, your T all the way to T to T15 or T20. Then you got the T5H. You got the THs here all the way from T10 or sorry T5H all the way up to T25H. And then you got some other types of they're like Phillips, but they're Phillips, but they got another. It's a little bit different than a Phillips. And then you got the tri head. These are all your flatheads, small ones. Those are your Phillips up here. And then you also got more flathead. Then you got some star bit, and then you go into these pentagon head, and then they go into a triangle head. Then you got some keyed heads, square head. You know, some these are like just circle heads, so you can, you know, this would be for like a cell phone or something to get like a memory card out. And you got these mid heads, FS heads, and then you got some like punches almost, and then you got some attachments you could use. I use these as drivers sometimes. One of these works good for motherboard standoffs. It fits perfectly, so that's what I use these for. And then a little extension. Then you got the screwdriver here, which is pretty cool. You can extend this thing way out. It's got a magnetic head, so you know whatever you're using, it stays right on there. It's a great little, you know, addition to have, is that magnetic head. Sometimes I even take this off, and if it's up and it's really tight, I'll just use this by itself. Yeah, this thing's notched, so you can set it there. Just pull this back. You know? And then it's got a spin back, so that way you can just hold it in your hand, and you can literally just, of course I can't do it now, you just spin it like that. It's nice. So yeah, we got that. Let me put this in quick before I talk anymore. Finish what I was doing. So we got it right here. You notice there was a little bit of Loctite on there, but it's not a big deal. You don't really need to have it back on there. If you have some Loctite handy, put a little dab on there. You know, any of these ones have this blue colored stuff on the threading of the screw. That's Loctite. That comes from the factory like that. One thing I do know that I do, and because I'm doing this here, usually every time I take one of these out, I put it right back. Because otherwise you'll get them all mixed up, you'll lose them, and it sucks when you lose your tools. I'm sure some of you have lost tools before, and it really sucks. You know, and the best way, that's another thing why I like this. You know, everything's labeled, and all the little sockets are there to put each screw bit right back in there. We got two that are, one that's opposite, so it's this guy. And of course, oh no, yeah, it should come off. I assume it must be the thermal paste that's holding it down. Okay, that is kind of odd. These thermal pads must be really sealed on here. Yeah, they are. Okay, so here. Also, yeah, here, let me get back to this quick. Since I got to use one of these parts, you get all these little devices, little tools that you'd use for spreading like liquid metal on your GPUs. I don't use that. I think it's completely overrated. Also, it can cause major problems if you don't use it correctly. So yeah, that you can use it for that. You can use it as a wedge, which is what I'm using it as right now. It's a little wedge to get right here. And boom, there we go. Golden. Here's another thing. Like, you know, these thermal pads are shot too. You know, whoever had this graphics card, they did a good job of taking care of it. I can tell you that right now. So I'm gonna leave that like that for right now. With these little things, I have bent these though because I was fixing a motherboard and the pins were bent, so I had to get in there. And the way that these were bent with my magnifying glasses that I have, I couldn't get them in there, so I bend them. So usually these are just arched, but they work just as good like that. Yeah, you get a little brush, so like now you could use this to brush off stuff. Some of this dust is great for that too. It's a little bit better than a toothbrush, not quite as of a stiff of bristles. So yeah, get these in there, get this dust off. I'm seeing dust come off too, so that's cool. Let's give it a good blow there. Alright. The fact, and I also got this, which is an extension. This thing can just pop right in here. And then this bends, of course, so you can just stick your bit in there and then bend it in however you want. Okay, so enough about that, because this isn't a video about this, but anyway. One more thing though, I also keep a couple pairs of clips in there, a little pair of snips, and then some regular, I'm drawing a blank right now, what they're called. They're a type of plier, needle nose pliers, that's what they're called. Okay, so we got that done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more Q-tips, and I'm just going to go ahead and clean these memory chips. And yeah, keep on moving. Actually, let me use this to scrape some of this off, because this stuff is, yeah, I'm really glad that I took this apart. You know, and I figured there was a problem, because from what I seen on the review from Gamers Nexus when they reviewed this board, the temperatures were much better than I was seeing. I was seeing 40 degrees at idle with normal fan settings, and yeah, that's not kosher with me. So we'll just do this, and by the time I'm done, this thing will be better than factory. It'll be cooler than factory. I'm going to see. I believe I still have enough copper shims left to put on each of these memory pads, and that's going to help reduce the temperature even further. Although with this particular graphics card, like I was telling you, it has its own thermal solution here with this heatsink, so it might not be as reflective of a gain as if it was one of your typical graphics cards that doesn't have its own thermal solution there. Yeah, this is a 5700 XT, AMD of course, and it has 8 gigabytes of DDR6. And this is a PCIe 4.0 card. But I can tell you, if you have a Gen 3 board, honestly, there's even been some testing I've watched online too of if you're using a Gen 4 card on a PCIe 3 slot, or let's say you have a Gen 4 card and you're using a riser, let's say, and you only have a Gen 3 riser, and you want to mount your graphic card vertically, the performance loss is minimal, because these graphics cards don't have nowhere near the bandwidth to saturate the PCIe lanes, so you know, it's kind of moot, really, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Let's see what kind of memory this is. This is micron memory. You can tell the little M with the swirl around it. Also, if you were to look into something like CPU-Z, it should tell you what the memory is under, whether it's Micron or SK Hynix or Samsung. Those are the 3 main ones. There may be some other little companies out there, but those are the main ones. Okay, so everything's clean. Next thing to do, it should be here, a little box of these. This is my little thermal box here. You can go on Amazon and get these. I think I paid $18 for these, but these are all different thickness copper shims. Okay, and basically what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take a very, very, very thin, because a thin thermal pad like this. I'm going to put that on here first, and I'm going to take the shim and stick that on top of there. Now, some guys use a thermal adhesive, which is just fine too. Some guys don't use anything, though I wouldn't suggest that, because if you're you know, when you go and put the graphics card back together, if there's any type of looseness in there, those copper shims can slide, and if they slide and touch one of these little resistors or transistors right here, you could fry your whole card. That's one of the bad things about going this route. Now you can also even take a copper shim and use it on the GPU, but I don't see the sense in that. So basically, all I'm going to do is look at the thickness of these pads. Okay, so I can see how thick they are, right? And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to find a similar one that's to the thickness of these, but a little bit thinner if I can get away with it. And I believe these are going to be the ones that I'm going to use right here. Okay. So see, I can put these here. You see the thickness of the copper pad, the copper shim is just a little bit thinner than the thickness of the thermal pad. So then that gives me a little bit of headroom to put a thermal pad on there, or a real thin one. And even if I went a little bit thicker, it's going to be okay, because as you can see, the memory gets squished into these thermal pads. So you got a little bit of tolerance there. Not a whole lot, because you don't want it really, really smashed, because you can end up damaging a card with the memory. But you got a little bit of headroom there. A few micromillimeters, or but yeah. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure they're all the same size, and that one got dropped in there by accident. Yep, we're all good. Okay, let's put these guys right here. Way. And as you can see, this is like the third one I've done. Haven't had any problems, and the performance results have been great. And like I said, your typical graphics card, your cooling reduction can be pretty substantial. You can get cooling reduction anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees on the memory, and if it's also memory that shares a plate with the GPU, you can also end up lowering the graphics card die, the GPU die, by anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees as well, because they're not sharing the same solution. They're sharing different, or or if they were sharing the same solution, then you get the reduction there. But on this one, it's a little bit different. I don't think I'm going to see huge gains, but it's going to be better than this, because these things are all chalky and they're toast. So I'm going to go back in here, my little box of goodies. You can also go on Amazon and buy thermal pads like this. They come in all different sizes. Here's real thick ones, and then I got thinner ones. I'm going to look for the thinnest ones I got. They're scattered around here. But we're going to use the thinnest ones I got. Here we go. These guys right here are the thinnest ones I got. So I'm going to put these right here. See if I got one more. Well, we don't need all of that, but just in case. And then we got this strip here I'm going to replace. So we need a big fatty for that. There we go. And I'm just going to cut this into two strips here and replace that. And then I'll also use this one to fix these 3 right here, or these 4. So here's that one for that. Alright. Then my favorite thermal paste I like to use, and it's also very reasonably priced, is your Arctic MX4, MX5. I think there's even an MX6. All that thermal paste, very reasonably priced, does an excellent job. And that's what I use. I mean, if you really want to go crazy, you know, you can get some Noctua or Thermal Grizzly. There's another brand that's pretty popular. But I like my Arctic MX4. It's done good for me so far. I put it on all my CPUs, GPUs, everything that I need thermal paste for. We're not going to need this right now. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off this. Just scrape these off the best I can without making a huge mess here. Put it on my kosher garbage can. I'm done, I'll get a Q-tip and clean everything off, clean this up real good, make it nice and clean. Yeah, these thermal pads they're toast. Let me see. So this goes here. And so it'll be this one, this one, this one. And then there's one more off to the side, and this one. So this little here, this guy here, this guy here, and this guy here. And then of course these guys right here. Typically on other graphics cards I would actually thermal pad these. Why not? You know. But okay. So just need to know where those go. I'm going to put those directly right on the component itself. Okay, now to clean these up real quick, and then we'll be good to start putting the good stuff on. I wish I had a little paper towel here. I need paper towels here, I don't think. And but like I said, some people, there's a thermal adhesive. I was thinking about getting some and trying it, but until I have a problem or until I run out of this, using this method, I think next time when I actually run out of materials and I need to get some new stuff is when I will actually grab some of that and give it a try. Yeah, that's it. We're good. Clean. Somewhat. Perfect. Yeah. I got some paper towels right here. Just give it a little clean, a little wipe. Okay. All right. So, just a little bit of dust here. Clean these up quick. Alright, so also if you see on here these little rubber washers, make sure, or plastic washers, make sure that they stay on here, because that can cause problems. This one actually stayed on the thing here. Yeah, make sure you don't lose those, because that gives you tolerance above all these other components where you don't want conduction happening. Yeah, wouldn't be good. Okay, so next part. Oh, we got one last thing to clean off, which is this guy here. Oh, that's so satisfying. This one wasn't too bad, but since I'm here, might as well do it. Make it beautiful. Let me grab my scissors quick. Get those right back. Right. The little kid scissors. These things are great. They're sharp as hell. And they work perfectly for stuff like this. Basically, all I'm going to do is look here. Okay. Even if I go a little bit wider, it's okay, because a little bit extra coverage ain't gonna hurt anything. One. And then I'm just gonna like this. And I'll just make a little clip here. And I'll go like this. Okay. Now this guy, probably not gonna be able to use this guy for anything. So it's pretty much toast. We'll go in the trash pile here. Let's drop some more here too. I'm so OCD about stuff sometimes, but okay. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to take these. There's two sides on here. There's a harder, usually, oops, there's a harder side and a softer cover, usually on these. And I like to take the softer side off first. And then I'm just going to follow the outline of where these were. Maybe you can give it a little bit extra overlap. Lay this guy on here like that. A little bit crooked. Nope. I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to sit it up here first real quick. I'm going to measure my thumb. A little indent there. I'm going to cut them right here. Soft side off. Butt it up against this guy here. Sorry, I'm in the way. Camera, but I want to make sure this is right. Kind of push them together a little bit. And then these tweezers come in handy for this. Just grab it and peel, like, try not to just peel up because you'll pull them up. Peel it back across them like this, low and back across, because I find out, especially on these memory chips, where you go to peel and it'll pull it right up off and you're reseating it and it just gets really annoying. Okay, there you go. We're looking good. Alright, we got one last piece here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 spots that we took off there. So I'm just going to cut little squares. 1, 2, look at that. 3 and 4, perfect. Tweezers. Some people like to leave the other side on. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you find easier, you can do it your way. If you want to leave the hard side on or you want to peel the soft side, it doesn't really matter. Both sides of the thermal pad, once you get the cover off, are exactly the same. See, honestly, you're going to have a hard time with this anyway, so these little guys. Just try not to touch them too much, I guess, because the oil's on your hand. And then, that's another thing you want to make sure always, every piece you do, this is a suggestion that I give you. Every piece you do, put it on, make sure you take both sides off, put it on right away, because if you go and say you lay out all your pieces on all your components first, and then you're like, okay, good to go, but then you might have forgotten a piece, that's going to cause problems for you later on, because that plastic isn't going to be a very good thermal conductor for you. Tap it down a little bit. Oh, where's my last hand? It blew off somewhere. There it is. So even if you're a little bit bigger, it's okay. If you're a little bit bigger than the component you're covering, it's not the end of the world. You're just want to make sure the component's covered. Now, obviously, you don't want a whole sheet of thermal paste on here, but as long as the component's covered, for the most part, it should be good. So yeah, I hope some of you guys that are enjoying this or get some use out of it or find it interesting, and that'll tell me if I should keep doing this or not. I got a PC build that I'm going to be doing here, and probably either Friday or Saturday, depending on how things go and what I got going on, but one of the 2 days I should be doing a PC build. I just finished one over there that this card's going in, and yeah, if you check out my Twitter, it's Real Gamer. I got a little icon. It looks like an R and G with a little blue circle. So if you're looking for that, Yeah, I got some of my builds on there. I don't have all of them, but I got some of my recent ones on there. Okay, so here I'm just gonna look at. Okay, so I got a little bit of overhang there. So I'm gonna cut off a little bit of this thermal pad on the edge here. Just like that much. I'm pretty good at eyeballing stuff, so you may want to use, a ruler or some type of measurement device and get it perfect. That's up to you. Let's see how I did. Oh yeah, that's perfect. And then I need to just take this. I just got to get one right, and then I'll use that as a template. Make a little mark there. And I'll start cutting these pads. Okay. And 8 of these guys. And since there's 8 of them, and this is an 8 gig card, obviously that each of these memory pads or these chips are 1 gigabyte of memory. Let's see what 2 more. Let's get it here, right? The thermal pads that I bought there with the multiple sizes, I think it was just about as much as I paid for the actual shims. I think for like $14, maybe a little bit cheaper, if I remember right. They're not too bad. I mean, you can get a few devices done with each, bag of pads you get. But yeah, I got the multiple size ones, so that way I have some options to work with. I got 5 out of that one, so that's pretty good. I only need 3 more. So what I'm gonna do here, since I already know my size, my width size here. Put this guy right there. Make a little cut. From there. Butterfingers today. Okay, so we need more of these guys. Those. Trace. Alright, there we go. So, I got extra. I don't need anything else. I had those 4 covered. Got that covered. I got these for my memory chips. I got my shims. These are going there. Shims are going there. And I just thermal paste it. Slap it back together. And we're on. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. I think these, since they're so thin, I'm going to go with the harder side first. Basically, this is just acting as a glue, essentially. But you do want to make sure you cover the whole chip. You don't want to leave any of the chip exposed, because that's going to make sometimes these can be a bitch. You don't want any of your chip exposed, because that's gonna not that part of the chip could get extra hotter than than the rest of it, and of course makes sense, right? These little guys are tedious. Oh, perfect. these tweezers really come in handy. Really, really, really come in handy. This little fine point. Especially for this type of work, you know, anything to do with PC repair. There's all sorts of little situations you come into where you need something where you can grab something really fine, do some really fine work. And these guys come in handy. Just a few more left. And we're on to the magic stuff. See, like I was saying, you know, typically, you know, honestly, I don't know if I really normally would have used copper shims on this because of the way that this has its own thermal solution. It's really not making a big difference as if it goes through the chip to the pad to this, or the chip to a copper shim to this, because the more things that the heat has to transfer through, sometimes, you know, it actually can act, it does act as a barrier somewhat sometimes. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. I mean, if I put this back together and the memory temperatures are horrendous, then, you know, obviously I'll have to rip it back apart and pop these shims off, but I don't think it's gonna be a problem. Honestly, I think it's going to be a little better because copper is a very, very good conductor of heat. See? I mean, you want to make sure you always take off the plastic on every part you put on immediately, because you can forget. Last one. Took off the sauce at that time. It's going to be a little bit more pain in the butt. Yep. Alright. Okay, so right here I'll show you. See if you can get a better look at some of these here. There's all the components that I had replaced, or the thermal pads, the little guys here. Oh, it's such a pleasure to have dogs, I swear. I think that's it, yep. That's my dog here right there. Which, if you have dogs, you know, dog hair can get on everything, but here we got this guy, this guy, this guy. All thermal pads good. Alright, now I'm just going to take these shims. Alright, now here comes the important part. Let me use my phone here for some extra light. Alright, see how the chips have these little transistors on the outer edge from, you know, using the GPU as a center point. There's these little resistors right here. Right there, right there, right there, right there. But on the outside of every one of these chips. So you want to make sure that you're flush with the back of the memory on these. We got good clearance here too with these shims on. push down. I'm just gonna use this guys. This thing here. Tweezers still. It's all right. It's supposed to not right. Pretty good. Like I didn't even put pressure on this thing, it's already acting like glue. Look at that. So this might be pushed sometimes. Yep, I'll have to re-put this down. Oh shit. No. Let's see if we can drop this down. Real wide. Just drop it. Right where I want it. Perfect. Actually look pretty nice. Just move the line. On it. And look at that, I found a new method of doing this. It's working great like this. And the last one. Boom. Doesn't that look great? Doesn't that look nice? Like a bunch of little pennies. A bunch of pennies. And a little tap down. Alright. Now, let's take this guy. We're going to put it right back on there. Lines up. Go. Okay. Let's see which one works better. Yeah, I use that little one for those little guys that should bring more. Okay. This one here. That there. Now, I'm not going to tighten these all down real tight. I'm just going to get into where they're snug first. This is actually kind of nice because, like I said, it may make a difference, it may not make as much of a difference, but what's nice about this is usually I have to take this thing and just smush it on there. I don't have anything to hold these chips down or these shims down. Well, now I do this time, so that's kind of cool. There we go, a couple of twists. Crisscross these. 2 turns. 2 turns. Here. Twist. Alright, let's take a peek at that. Okay, looking good. Looking very good. All right. Now, we're on to the fun part. Durable paste. Now you can use little pea size. No, I didn't know. That's first. I guess NVIDIA must be the only ones that. Write the dye information on the actual silicon. Use this to spread out just a little bit, kind of close to the edges of the chip. That's plenty. It's going to really squish out anyway, so I'm just going to take this in. What's so nice is, like I said, those chips are on there. You usually have to be very careful, but I mean, you still got to be careful, but it's not as bad as normal. Take these guys, line them up. Take a look on the other side, make sure everything's looking good. Oh, there we go. That's what we wanted right there. First thing we're going to do is put this plate back on. And here's the sticker side, which went to this side, which I don't really think it matters, but we're going to try to follow the pattern that I took it off on anyway. Just going to stir them. These are, as you see, this thing's bent opposite to, it's shaped like a concaved, so that way it adds pressure. And if you don't screw one side in right away, you're going to have a hard time screwing the opposite end, because the screws are going to be like this going into the threading. Here's your screw hole, right? And if you got this thing all bent, it's going to be like this. It's going to be hard to screw in your screw. And then, once again, same thing as I did with the memory. I want to crisscross these guys. Because I want that thermal paste to spread out nice and even. Cover that whole GPU die real well. That one's tight. It's tight. Tight. That's tight. I'm just double checking, because sometimes a little extra. Nope. Okay. So now what do we got left? We got these two little end guys here, which I'll do last. But first, we'll start with these two little flunky ones that went at the end here. You can screw these all the way down till they stop. You don't want to go any tighter, because that's kind of what the spring does. The spring is like a stopping point, so you know that you don't really want to keep cranking on them once you hit that point. I'm just going to jump around the board a little bit. The holes I have left are these guys on this side. Last one here. And then we got these two little guys at the end. Oop. There you go. These ones are similar to motherboard screws. If any of you have ever screwed a motherboard into a PC case, you want to back them out first until you feel how you'll feel the screw literally like pop levelly into the threading, and then you go ahead and screw them. That's how this one's acting right now, just like that. All right, and there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you do it. Oh, last thing we got here. Spoke too soon. Still got our fan here. Plugs here. Make sure you're nice and even. Plug those guys in. LEDs. All the RGB. And that's it. That's how that works right there. So now we got a fully refurbished, modded GPU. And I'd say it's even better than factory, because the thermal paste they put on at the factory I found to be actually kind of crappy. I mean, I'm sure this stuff comes in frickin' 5-gallon drums that they just hook up to the machine, and the machine just squirts some on there and off it goes. But yeah, there we go. Now I'll get this plugged in, and I'll see how she works. I'll put some comments in the video feed there and let you know this was running at about 40 degrees in this case. Now, granted, I know this doesn't have the best thermals in this case. I've only got 4 fans in it. But in this case, it was running at 40 degrees at idle, which is a little bit on the warm side. So I'll post what the temperatures are now. And yeah, thanks for stopping in and learning something today. I hope I taught you something. And yeah, if this video goes well, you'll see more of these in the future. I'm Real Gamer, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.